Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another BSJ meta update, and this is going to be for 7.38b now, but it's more about like the 3 weeks after the big patch dropped with the new map and a lot of hero changes and all that. So to start, we're just going to be talking about the general, like what I'm seeing in the games, the pace of the game, the type of play we're seeing, the heroes that fit this description. And then we're going to be talking about some of the heroes that got nerfed in 7.38b and heroes that you guys can be looking to play in 7.38b. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the meta right now, I think, is defined largely by the fact that the camps behind the safe lane tower, as I mentioned in my farming video, are now ancients and a small camp, just kind of inconvenient. And if you look at the entire map as a whole, it's not just these camps that got changed. Past like the first 10 minutes, it feels really weird to farm the map at all. All the river camps feel super secluded. There's not very many heroes that can go there without it being super awkward. And it feels inefficient for most heroes that are like walking backwards to farm to be good. So oddly enough, because of this, I believe this is why Tinker, support even, as well as Nature's Prophet are two of the best heroes in the game, at least at the competitive level. This is what people are picking. You know, I can't say for certain that this is why, but I have to believe the fact that these heroes are allowed to farm these obscure parts of the map without having to inconvenience themselves or grief their team by not being able to show up to fights is an absolutely essential part of the game. It feels like right now, it's really weird to like gank people that are in those areas, but it also feels inefficient to be in those areas for most heroes in the game. So half the time when they're there, we don't even care. But on heroes like Nature's Prophet and Tinker, obviously Tinker goes home, goes back to the fight with full HP, full mana, and Nature's Prophet can just TP right back in. But what that does mean, in my opinion, is that heroes that flash farm camps, like Alk, Sven, Luna, they just aren't very good right now. That's been my perception. People are trying Sven in competitive Dota, but overall, I think any hero that relies on creeps, and is not illusion based, I think has a significant weakness right now. And the reason why I mention illusion based heroes is because they can often send illusions to waves while using their heroes to farm these obscure camps. So it's kind of the same concept. We're also seeing a lot of Terrorblade in the safe lane, at least in competitive Dota. So I feel like right now, because of these obscure camps, the two types of heroes you have are these heroes, these illusions and global teleporting heroes, or you have heroes that just want to brawl, and you also have cores that dominate their lanes. These are like the three archetypes of heroes that are winning right now. So in the safe lane, we're seeing a lot of PAs and Ursas because these are considered very strong laning carries. And they also eventually build into Battle Fury, and there's nice placement of Ancient camps. So even though they can't farm the Ancients very well early game, the fact that they can later on, and they also get there pretty fast because Ursa has high move speed, buys Battle Fury Blink, PA obviously has a Blink built in. All these heroes kind of make sense to me with the way that they play the map. When we're looking at like the mid lane, we're seeing basically everything stem around these melee guys that like to run around the map, or at least ranged mobility guys that gank. Doesn't really seem like there's any stationary durable guys in the mid lane right now. It's all about mobility, and it's all about melee guys that get up in your face. They can be durable, but it's much more like the Ember Spirits and the Earthshakers that, while hard to kill, it's not because they have crazy amounts of HP. They just have a lot of mobility, right? And I think the most broken item of the patch right now is actually just Orb of Corrosion. It feels like the meta defining item. It did get nerfed in 7.38b, spoilers, but for me, I'm seeing pretty much every core, or at least 2 out of 3 cores on every team, sometimes even supports like Support Weaver, buying this item. It feels too good. It's a slow, it reduces healing, reduces armor by 3. People are pairing it with the neutral item that you get at level 1, Orb of Destruction. That's 5 minus armor for 1,000 gold, including a neutral. And it just feels like these heroes that have kind of innate physical damage synergize so well with this, and especially if they're agility heroes, right? Because agility heroes get 7 damage and 7 attack speed. I mean, everybody gets 7 attack speed, but they get an extra 7 damage from this item as well, right? They did nerf it from 8 agility to 7. But the buildup just feels way too convenient, and heroes that utilize this seem too strong. And so basically, because it also slows you, makes it difficult to kite, it's a bunch of melee guys or fast ranged guys that are buying this, and it's very difficult to play any position-based core right now. So what's happening is a lot of melee cores or highly mobile cores with backlining supports like Silencer, Ancient Apparition, Phoenix, You know, this type of stuff that just sits in the back. Crystal Maiden, Dark Willow. These seem to be the type of supports we're seeing a lot of right now. Occasionally, the Bounty Hunters and the Tusks. There's like a few melee heroes that are good right now. But that's the general gist of the meta. So we've given you the gist. Let's go ahead and break down 7.38b as a whole. The only general change to the game that I think really matters coming from 7.38b is that they made Tormentors harder to take. They just made them stronger, and they also made them worth less gold. They effectively removed 375 gold across the entire team as the bounty. So it's something that I think was much more impactful in professional Dota, but something to keep in mind that Tormentor still feels really strong, but only really do it in pubs if your team feels relatively coordinated. In regards to items, so the OP items were kind of bleeding over from previous patch, and also some of the new ones. So Glimmer Cape absolutely needed a nerf, reduced move speed, up to the mana cost. Heaven's Halberd, absolutely the most broken offlane item in the patch. We predicted it, it's just too good of a build-up. Made it so it costs the same amount, but now the recipe costs more, and the Ring of Regen is no longer a component. So the build-up is just slightly worse. Orb of Corrosion, as we mentioned, lost in agility. So they are touching on like the broken items of the patch. They also nerf like the attack speed and mana regen of Bloodthorn and Orchid. But overall, I feel like the item changes are relatively insignificant in regards to the impact that they have on who buys what. You know, maybe Glimmer Cape will give mana problems to a few more heroes than before. You know, Orb of Corrosion gives one less agility, but I think the items are just as strong as they were before, and like people who are buying them are going to buy them, and it's still the best. That's my opinion on this current patch in terms of the effect of 7.38b. So when we look at heroes, there were heroes that were hit harder than others. Let's start off with some of the broken ones, right? So Abaddon was hit pretty hard. He lost 0.25 mana regen. He lost duration on his shield, and he lost damage and heal on his Mistcoil. And he also got increased mana cost on his Aphotic Shield, and they also nerfed the AoE of his Aghanims. Still, the hero went from a 56% win rate to a 53% win rate. So by no means is he off the table. Still a very good hero, just not quite as ultra super broken as he was before. Another hero I'd like to talk about that was propping up a lot in pro matches that I think is really good for you guys in the offlane is Darkseer. His innate giving him heal and mana when he leveled up was huge for his early game. It allowed him to cast those extra couple Ion Shells, take those extra trades, and it just felt like the hero was able to cut creeps and effectively trade health to do so and then get it all back. So they did nerf that slightly, and they also nerfed his base armor, which I think really is targeting that stage of the game. And his win rate did drop by almost a full percentage, but still 52%. So check him out, Darkseer, really getting to the point there with that pointy head. I did that, such a funny joke. Another hero that's been absolutely busted has been Dazzle, boasting a 55% win rate across like pretty much every single role. They made it so his Poison Touch is lower cooldown or lower duration at lower levels, and his ulti, the Nothal Projection, doesn't lower the cooldown of Shadow Wave just as much as it did before. The hero is still getting like first pick, first ban in competitive, and is absolutely dominant at offlane and mid, it seems like, with like the Treads Ags into items that keep you alive build. Usually a blink to use the Nothal Projection, but pretty insane stuff coming out from Dazzle. If you're looking to learn a new hero and have some fun with it, Dazzle's a great time. Dragon Knight got hit with a nerf bat, let me tell you. Dragon Knight lost AoE on his Fire Dragon, and he also lost Worm's Wrath damage going from 10 per level to 6 per level. So his win rate actually dropped 5% with this. It was effectively a 40% nerf on his bonus damage that he was getting from his Fire Dragon. Turns out that that was pretty damn good. He's actually rocking below a 50% win rate right now. I've seen people try the Frost in the Green Dragon, and I would actually just say that unless you love DK, the most exciting hero in all of Dota, probably just not a hero to be playing right now. Another hero that got hurt kind of hard was Jakiro. His Ice Path duration is 1 second less with the new facet, and then the cooldown is 2 seconds higher at every single level, going from 9 to 11 at the highest level, so pretty significant on that. And they also removed his cooldown Ice Path talent, so in the past you'd get down to a 7.5 second cooldown Ice Path. and now it's an 11 seconds. So pretty, like, literally 50% longer cooldown. But at the same time, his win rate is still rocking around 50%, but it did drop an entire percentage below 50% now. Another hero that got hurt really hard by the patch was Lifestealer. He lost a lot of the HP he was getting from kills on his new facet, and they also made it most notably that his Aghanim Scepter no longer disarms. It does more damage than it previously did, but it no longer disarms, which made... The reason why Lifestealer felt so broken was every hero that was good against him suffered immensely versus disarms. So it felt like he had an answer to everything. But now that's no longer the case. I think the hero is still very strong, but you can't just slam him in any situation, any matchup, and have him be fine. His win rate did drop by 2.4% because of this. Kind of, I think, just speaks to the fact that now he has bad matchups, but it's still 52% plus. So still a very good hero. But just keep in mind, like the Ursas and the PAs, the heroes that you previously countered by disarming them, are now, I would say, convincingly bad matchups. Another notable change is that Nature's Prophet lost his level 20 leash talent. That was super annoying. I don't know how much you guys are dealing with Nature's Prophet in your games. I like that they're removing these kind of gimmicky things in the game that were added with talents. And it's like, some people say, well, he's had that talent forever. It's like, well, before talents, he never had a leash. And I'd appreciate it if, you know, they maybe put him on a leash and stop giving him free shit. So I was trying to make something clever out of that. But either way, still a very good hero. But Nature's Prophet did lose that level 20 talent. Another big hero that was propping up in 7.38 was Tidehunter. They did nerf his damage reduction on Anger Smash at max level from 60 to 40. Pretty significant, especially when he's farming like ancient stacks and stuff. He will actually take damage now. And they also decreased the damage and increased the mana cost on his shard. The hero lost 2% on his win rate, but he's still rocking 52.5% win rate, so still very good. Another hero that got relatively gutted, but still getting picked, kind of surprising to me, is Tiny. He lost 579 armor on his grow. So much less tanky than he was before. Apparently, he's still pretty good considering that they're picking him in competitive. But his win rate in pro level pubs is 48%, so it's really not that great right now. Last but not least, a hero that was mainly seen in pubs, not as much in competitive, I'm sure you guys might have seen it cropping up in your games as well, was Zeus Support. That had a significantly high win rate before the patch. It was over 51% as like the most played hero in all of pro level pubs. But he did lose 4 base damage, and he also lost significant AoE on his Lightning Bolt detecting sentries. It lost literally 50% of its AoE. So the hero's win rate did drop by 2.5%, and it is below 50% now. So Zeus doesn't really seem like the hero to be looking out for. So let's go ahead and get to it, guys, right? I talked about at the beginning of this video what I think the general shift of the meta is going to be. Frontlining run-at-you cores that either close the gap and buy Orb of Corrosion, or just super durable like Tidehunter or Abaddon. But we also have the backline supports, so let's talk about what I think is going to be meta. So here's the heroes that I think are going to be creme de la creme in the support role. We got Wyvern, we got Phoenix, we got Silencer, we got Warlock, we're talking Dark Willow, we're talking Venomancer, and we're talking any backliner that you can make work, oftentimes with slows, kite, and damage, and some sort of team fight presence. That seems like ultra important right now because of how many objectives there are to fight around, and it seems like because the map is so shit to farm, people are just running at each other. And maybe that's a new patch thing, but now it's been 3 weeks, you know? I feel like if people are still doing it after 3 weeks, it's likely to just be kind of the state of Dota. So keep that in mind. A lot of slows, team fight, damage, that's what you're looking for when it comes from supports. People are still picking the likes of like Muerta in competitive, but I think she's less of a pub hero. And when we're looking at cores, the best mid laners right now seem to be Ember Spirit and all of his counters, basically. If Ember Spirit's not in the pool, we're seeing a lot of Puck, Quap, Earthshaker. We're even seeing Slardar get picked up a lot. So it feels like the entire mid lane is defined by, does this hero counter Ember? So Huskar, Monkey King, Slardar. But at the end of the day, I think the only heroes that truly dumpster Ember are Monkey King and Huskar. And a hero that I haven't seen in my games just yet, but the win rate on Pro Tracker says it, is Tinker. You know, if you didn't get it already from earlier in my video, this hero's getting played mid and support with both of the facets. Super high win rates on both. Time to whip out that ban list. My ban list has Ember and Tinker on it. No freaking question. Those two heroes are in every single game when possible. The offlane meta seems to be all these melee durable survival guys, ideally with dispels. I feel like that's being swayed heavily by the fact that these supports are kiting slow supports. So the Abaddons and Tides still seem very good. But over time, we might be seeing something different. But right now, the win rates still say these heroes are quite good. And in the carry role, the creme de la creme seems to be Ursa, Terrorblade, still a bit of Lifestealer, still a bit of Tiny, no more DK. And overall, I think we're going to be seeing more and more either Battle Furies or more Illusion heroes. I'm looking forward to seeing some more Naga Siren pop up, potentially. Even like the early team fighters like Medusa, that buy Manta could be coming into play. But as long as these heroes have strong laning phases and they can potentially buy Orb of Corrosion, they're on the table, guys. So that's it for this week's meta update. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll keep you guys posted. See you next week.